Herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe des E-Talk. Und bei mir habe ich jetzt Golden Goliath und ich habe den Paul Sorbara bei mir als CEO. Und er wird uns jetzt die Company mal kurz vorstellen. Ich kenne die Firma selber noch relativ wenig, aber das wird sich jetzt dann in den nächsten 10 Minuten ändern. Paul, thank you to have time. And
thank you very much for taking time to talk.
I said in my German introduction, this is a start interview, so I have not too much clue about your company.
Okay.
So it's now up to you that you show us the best side of your company.
Okay. Golden Goliath Resources Ltd. is a public company. We trade on the TSX Venture Exchange. The symbol there is GNG. We also trade in Frankfurt. I believe the symbol there is GGF, and we trade in the United States as well. So we're a fully reporting issuer in at least 3 countries. We have a shareholder base that's pretty much global.
Okay, this brings me to the point. Normally, my last question is over shareholder structure. But talk about shareholder structure. How many shares are outstanding?
We have 116 million shares out, fully diluted, no warrants, and we have never done a rollback, and we have not done a financing in 8 years.
Wow!
And we've been able to self-finance because we had a total of 8 projects in Mexico, and we sold 7 of them to a large Mexican mining company. And then about just over a year ago, we made the decision to move into Ontario. So we were first listed in 2000 on the TSX Venture, and then for the 19 years, basically, we were working in Mexico.
Wow, so it's a long period, and without any rollback and no financing for the last 7-8 years. Wow, it's really unusual for Canadian companies.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you that the background is I had done exploration work in Mexico for a large Mexican mining company back in the 80s, and I saw the potential in Mexico. And when they changed the foreign investment laws in 1993, I was one of the first foreigners to go down there and create a company, and I was able to stake the properties that we developed and then ended up selling to the large Mexican mining company.
Wow.
And for those 8 years, we did it all privately. I started the company with my credit card and my savings account until we got to the point where we were generating some cash flow. And I think for at least 2 years, I had no salary. I just paid the other people. And then when we got to the point where we had way too much that I could ever explore myself, that's when we decided to go public, and that was in the year 2000.
Okay. But now your focus is Ontario.
Now our focus is in Ontario. The final payment from the large Mexican mining company was in November of 2018, and that coincided with the beginning of the Red Lake play, and it also coincided with a uptick in the problems with narco-traffickers in our area of the Sierra Madre. So for 19 years, we had no problem. We were actually dealing with El Chapo's guys, but we knew them, they knew us. There was no real problem. We were too small for them to bother with. But that when they extradited El Chapo to the United States, 2 other cartels moved into that area. They killed 50 guys, each other. They didn't kill any of my guys. They, turf war. And then I sent a crew in to do preparatory work for drilling in Mexico, and I was asked for protection money for my crew. And that was the end of the game. I gave them the money, got my guys out, and then we made the decision that we'll sell that last property in Mexico and focus in Canada.
Okay. So how the project in Canada looks like?
Looks very good. We're very, very pleased. In November of 2018, the Red Lake play in northwestern Ontario was just developing with Great Bear Resources and BTU, and a classmate of mine was the district geologist in Red Lake for the last 20 years, and he helped me to select some properties that were available from prospectors, and we acquired those properties and started to do work. And then a few months later, actually 1 year ago today at the PDAC, we did a deal on a 3rd property on the other side of Ontario near Sault Ste. Marie.
Okay,
But
and how the projects looks like? Are they grassroots projects?
These are grassroots projects. Our Kwai project is the most advanced in the Red Lake district. It's it's contiguous to the south side of BTU Resources, which is making a lot of news lately. So there's Great Bear, and then there's BTU, and then there's Golden Goliath's Kwai property. And Great Bear has a major deep-seated fault called the LP fault, and that is where they're finding their gold zones. And the Kwai property has another deep-seated fault called the Packwash fault, and that's where our targets are. We studied airborne magnetic data to figure out where on the property we should do IP. The property is 10 kilometers long, so to do 10 kilometers of IP is very, very expensive. We looked for the old mag data to find small breaks in this structure, and that's where we put our 2 grids. And on both grids, we got stupendous IP results to the point where the geophysicist who did the work was so impressed with what he saw, he sent them to another man, a very famous Canadian geophysicist by the name of Bob Middleton, and Bob discovered the Bell Creek mine in Timmins. And when John sent him the results from our work, he didn't tell them where they were from. And Bob's reply was, "Why are you sending me data from the Bell Creek mine?" And he said, "This is not Bell Creek, this is a new company in Red Lake." And Bob got all excited and contacted me, and now Bob is on our advisory board and helping us greatly, and he's very, very keen on these targets. So at this point, that's the stage where we're at right now. We have about 7 or 8 excellent drill targets, but a lot of that main fault has not been explored yet. It's overburden covered, so the prospectors never were able to see the rocks, and that's a good thing for us, because otherwise whatever is there would have been gone 50 years ago. But so now at the end of this week, in about 6-7 days, we'll be doing an airborne survey over our Kwai property, and that will be MAG and VLFEM, and the purpose of that survey is to identify other areas along that major break where we can do more IP. So we will generate more drill targets and then go in and prioritize those drill targets and then drill them in order.
Okay, so the plan is now geophysic and then drilling. Then only with drilling you can confirm is there something.
We're investigating the possibility of doing some geochemistry to help prioritize the targets, but we don't know for sure how deep the overburden is, but we do know there's glacial till, so surface sampling of the soil won't help us. We're investigating using a small auger drill to go down and take a sample of the soil and the rock right at the bedrock soil interface, but that could be expensive and it could require as much permitting as drilling a diamond drill hole. So that we're debating that right now.
What do you think? How deep you must go?
Well, the IP targets are very close to surface, so the drill holes that we have spotted already are only 150, 200 meters long, but one of the characteristics in the Red Lake camp, which, by the way, has produced, I think, 93 million ounces of gold over the last 100 years, is that grades get better at depth. And a very important thing that we actually clued into is that the deep-seated fault on Great Bear's property and the deep-seated fault on our property and the faults that go up to the Campbell Red Lake mine, they're all connected at depth. And we know that because about 12 years ago, the Ontario government was looking for places to bury nuclear waste. And they did seismic profiles across Ontario that looked down 15 to 20 kilometers, which is something a mining company would never try to do. Anyway, one of those transects across Ontario came close to our property. And so we were able to get that data and see that all of these faults were connected, and that one was coming up on Great Bear's property, one is coming up on our property, one is coming up on there. So the deep-seated fluids that carry the gold that went to Campbell, the gold that went to LP, there's no reason why it didn't come up our fault too. So we're very excited about that.
Wow. So what do you plan on exactly for this year?
Well, first is the airborne survey on Kauai, and we're going to do, our SLF property lies just below Kauai by about 3 kilometers, so that, excuse me, the airborne survey will cover Kauai, SLF property as well. And then, as I said, we'll prioritize those targets and then figure out how many meters of drilling we need and how much money we need for that drilling. We have $1 million in the bank right now.
So, but I think the million will not be enough to cover all the costs.
That's right. The million is more than enough. The airborne survey is actually already paid for. The IP work and the geochemical work we can afford right now. When we prioritize the drill targets and we know how many meters of drilling we want to do, then we will estimate how much more money we would like to raise. We could get started on the drilling, but it's better to have enough to drill all the targets. Plus, we want to do more work on the SLF property and also on our other property near Sault Ste. Marie called Wishore, which has also got a lot of interesting surface results. And so we have the working capital for everything right now except a major drill program.
But the most reaction you will get on the market when you're coming out with real results. Then is the proof of concept.
That's right.
And,
at the moment, we kind of rely on news from Great Bear Resources and BTU Resources, and there's some activity heating up in the Wawa area too. But we need to generate our own news with the airborne survey on Kauai and then the follow-up IP, and to increase the interest before we drill.
Paul, thank you for the first introduction to your company. One last question through the shareholder structure coming back. Do you have any bigger groups in your company?
We have one fairly large group. Concept Capital is a large shareholder, and other than that, management only holds about maybe 5 or 10% of the company. It's widely distributed around the world. We have shareholders in Japan and in Asia and lots of places.
Paul, thank you for the first introduction.
Thank you very much.
Very interesting.
Joe?
Ja, ganz interessante, ganz spannende Company. Erstens einmal, er arbeitet seit 1993, hat er eigentlich in Mexiko gearbeitet, und wie die das Minengesetz geändert hat, hat er dort Projekte gestaked und ist dann mit der Firma 2000 public gegangen, haben 116 Millionen Aktien draußen, und was ganz spannend ist, sie haben die letzten 7-8 Jahre kein einziges Placement gemacht. Das ist extrem untypisch für eine kanadische Firma. So, aber sie haben jetzt ihre mexikanischen Projekte großteils verkauft. Ich glaube, eines haben sie noch. Do you have still one Mexican project?
Yes, we have one Mexican project that we own 100%, and the large Mexican mining company bought our other 7 projects is very interested in acquiring that project as well. And they've recently conducted their own property exam and sampling. They're waiting for their assay results. I actually spoke with them yesterday, but I think the odds are quite good that we could sell that property to them. That might also fund the drilling.
Ja, well.
But until it happens, it hasn't happened.
Ja, absolutely. Also ein Projekt haben sie noch. Sie verhandeln mit derselben Gruppe, wo sie die anderen 7 Projekte verkauft haben. Das kann durchaus sein, dass sie dann genug Geld auch schon haben, damit sie das Bohrprogramm, das sie für heuer in Kanada planen, nicht. Also brauchen sie dann möglicherweise keine Finanzierung. Aber jetzt ist es spannend. Warum war der Grund, warum er überhaupt nach Mexiko gegangen ist? Wir wissen ja, Mexiko ist nicht unbedingt der sicherste Platz. Und er hat bis jetzt nie Probleme gehabt, aber er hat dann, wie die Kartelle gewechselt haben, haben sie auf einmal Geld verlangt für ihn, dass er so Schutzgeld, dass sein Crew dort auch ohne Probleme arbeiten kann. Also das war der Moment, wo er dann gesagt hat, nee, da will ich nicht mehr länger sein. Hat das bezahlt, hat seine Crew rausgeholt und hat dann quasi begonnen, die Projekte zu verkaufen. So, jetzt sind sie in Kanada, haben dort jetzt 3 Projekte akquiriert. Red Lake District, da brauche ich nicht so viel zu sagen, Great Bear vor allem. Und das Spannende ist, sie haben quasi, wenn man das anschaut, er hat gesagt, es gibt eine seismische Untersuchung von Ontario selber, die sind alle connected. Sowohl das Great Bear als auch die anderen Projekte sind connected unterhalb von ganz tiefen Sourcen, wo quasi diese Flüssigkeit aufgestiegen ist und für die Mineralisierung an der Oberfläche gesorgt haben. Sie haben extrem gute geophysische Daten bekommen. Sie machen jetzt nur mehr eine geophysische Untersuchung und im Laufe dieses Jahres soll gebohrt werden. Und das könnte halt so all or nothing Ding werden. Also wenn die hitten natürlich, und sie kommen mit ähnlichen Results aus wie Great Bear, dann geht die Aktie wahrscheinlich durch die Decke. Und genau das ist das Spannende daran. Schauen Sie Ihnen die Präsentation an auf der Webseite, diese Golden Goliath, die Website ist
GoldenGoliath.com.
Ja, genau, goldengoliath.com. Und da sehen Sie auch die ganzen Strukturen drinnen, wie sie dementsprechend aufgebaut sind. Und ja, das ist eigentlich eine richtig interessante Spekulation, weil wenn die mit dieselben Daten kommen oder ähnliche Daten, dann geht die Aktie durch die Decke. Schauen Sie nochmal Great Bear an, was die gemacht hat. Die ist ja auch, glaube ich, von 25 Cent auf $8 gegangen. Das ist spannend.
I don't know if the camera can see this diagram. I don't think so.
No, but I say they should.
It's on the website. This is the seismic profile data that shows that our properties here are connected at depth to the faults that go to Great Bear and to the Campbell Red Lake mine, which is a world-class gold producer. It's all on the website on the Quai Property Presentation.
Okay, also schauen Sie sich das auf der Webseite an. Wirklich interessant, spannend. Das könnte so eine neue Company werden, die dann richtig abgeht. Das war's von Golden Goliath an der PDSC 2020 Toronto. Tschüss und Baba. Thank you.
Joel, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.